Hello and welcome to another Lean Focus webinar. My name is Damon Baker, the CEO of Lean Focus. Today's webinar topic is entitled Unlock Hidden Savings and How to Reduce Utility Costs by 30% in 5 weeks. Today's panelists are Robert Grumsky, our Lean Focus Supply Chain Practice Pillar Leader, and Michael Dahlia, Comtech Systems President, Consulting Division. And we'll get more into their bios here in a bit. Few housekeeping items of note before we get started. This presentation and the material within is confidential to Lean Focus, and we ask that you not use this outside of the express use of this webinar. And a few more housekeeping tips. Today's participants will be placed in listen-only mode. As you listen to today's presentation and from the panelists, we ask that if you have questions, you please type them into the chat panel on the bottom of your Zoom webinar control panel. So you see a little chat icon with a bubble. That's where you can type your questions. I will be the moderator of those questions and be taking those questions at the end of today's session and reading them back to the panelists in a first come, first served basis. And we should have probably between 10 and 15 minutes at the end of today's webinar to get through all of those questions. So please, if you have more than one question, enter all those questions. We want to get through as many of those possible. A recording of this webinar will be made and emailed to you in terms of a link and an email. So whatever email that you use to sign up for registering in this email for this webinar, check that email address, and you may have to check your spam folder as well to make sure that you receive the output from this webinar. If that doesn't work for you, a couple other options are you can go to the Lean Focus website and specifically the tab called Thought Leadership. And on that Thought Leadership page are all of the webinars that Lean Focus conducts in history. You can go back and review on your own time, including this one. And then another option is our Lean Focus YouTube channel, where we archive all webinars and many other trainings and such that you can watch as well. So let's get into a little bit of an introduction on Lean Focus. So Lean Focus is all about helping our clients build high performance cultures. And we believe that a high performance culture is really like a three-legged stool. The first leg of the stool is supported by driven leaders. So people within the organization who are really of the right lean mindset that are impacting cultural change and leading through example and modeling the correct behaviors. The second leg of the stool are what we refer to as guiding principles. So as the organization is on this lean journey, there's a set of guiding principles, 14 of them to be exact, that are really the foundation or the bedrock for which your lean transformation is built upon. And an example of one of those lean principles would be something like mind over wallet. So before we spend lots of money on capital investment, we use our team's creativity to figure out a low cost, cheaper way to get something done while accomplishing the same outcome. The last leg of the stool is proven systems. So you can think of these as like tools and processes that we use to drive the lean transformation forward within our organization that, when done well, unlock value in all aspects of your P&L, including your balance sheet, that we're firing on all cylinders, we're achieving growth, we're delivering operating margin expansion, we're improving working capital turns, we're improving quality, all by engaging everybody within the organization and owning pieces of the lean business system. That fits really well with how we organize ourselves internally inside of Lean Focus to address those areas as well. So we have 8 practice areas, and today's topic is going to fall squarely within our supply chain practice. And we're going to introduce our supply chain practice leader here in a bit, Rob Grumsky. But inside the supply chain practice, we're looking at end-to-end supply chain, how to improve your relationships with your suppliers, how to reduce supplier risk, how to get better purchase price variance, lower pricing on the cost of goods for your products, and so on. Moving clockwise in the direction of the practices, we have an operations practice, which is how lean is traditionally thought about, applying lean and continuous improvement to improve the 4 walls of a factory: safety, quality, delivery, and cost. We have a practice leader there, a set of tools and subject matter experts that support our engagements with our clients in operations. Very similar to how we have a growth practice. So if the topic of the day is how do we drive organic growth above market, or how do we take share from competitors, We have a pillar leader, tools, subject matter experts that work with our clients in the commercial space to improve functions like sales and marketing. Moving to the right, private equity. So private equity is more positioned like a vertical within Lean Focus, where we are working with private equity clients, and you'll see some of those on the next slide, to help improve not only the private equity firm's efficiency in operations and M&A processes, but the actual operating companies that they acquire across the globe to improve the value creation of those businesses that they drive. And when we do that, we're reaching into these other practice areas to support those businesses that they've recently acquired. Also that they can exit those businesses at a higher multiple of EBITDA than what they purchased them for. Talent Solutions is all about putting the right team on the field to accelerate the lean transformation. So we do two things here. We do a retained executive search, and we placed everything from CEOs of companies all the way down to managerial level, where the common red thread is these individuals possess a great knowledge in lean business systems. They've worked in high performance organizations, world-class organizations, so they can be instant accelerators of change when placed into a client. And then the other thing we do in this area is interim leadership. Rob's done many of those roles. We actually step in and lead a part of the organization. And usually sometimes that's driven by an exit, somebody leaving unexpectedly, or perhaps we had to top grade an individual, but the organization doesn't want to miss delivery and important aspects of what they need to drive. So we need to put a leader in there that's capable right away while simultaneously recruiting for their replacement. Focus Solutions is the set of products that we license. So we have intellectual property around our tools in all of these areas, growth, lean, operations, and so on, that our clients can license to build their own business system. And we'll show our business system here in a few slides. In addition, in this area is a software suite of applications that Lean Focus has developed to enable lean transformation around processes such as strategy deployment, daily management, visual project management, for example. And then a leadership practice is all about implementing the right people processes within your business to ensure that the culture keeps pace with the rate of change and improvement that you're trying to make. And the processes in this area of practice would be things like performance management systems, mission, vision, values, talent development, new onboarding of leaders in the organization, how to structure the continuous improvement organization. So really it's the nuts and bolts behind structuring the cultural change appropriately. And then the last practice area is innovation. Excuse me. So innovation is lean applied to product development and ideation. So we talked about growth being sales and marketing. Move further left. This is a set of tools and processes applied to launching products on time, on budget, on spec that delight customers, that hit revenue targets and achieve profitability targets. And I should also preface this, and I think I've been saying this, is each one of these practices has a pillar leader like Rob, a set of tools, and subject matter expertise consultants that work with our clients in each one of these areas. And it's not too uncommon that we're working with our clients in multiple areas simultaneously to drive a multi-year lean transformation. So let's talk about some of those clients that we work with. So Lean Focus has been around for about 8 years, and we've worked with approaching 700 clients in total, ranging in size from Ford Motor Company all the way down to pre-revenue venture capital funded startup and everything in between. Publicly traded, privately held, manufacturing businesses, services businesses, discrete manufacturing, continuous manufacturing. So what I love about this slide is it really shows the broadest application of lean principles across every industry and vertical that you can imagine, right? So I think 10 years ago, you probably wouldn't have seen this kind of representation out there in the world and industry where there's this much understanding and awareness of lean and how it can be applied to unlock value in any organization, really, including our own. We eat our own cooking each and every day. So I talked about this business system. So this isn't meant to walk you through every single tool on here. I realize it's an eye chart, but the message I want to get across here is the comprehensive nature of what a business system can bring to a company to really enable every function within the business to drive performance in whatever function they have. So whether I sit in R&D or sales and marketing, there's a set of tools in the innovation and growth system that we can pull on when given KPIs and metrics that we need to drive. Same thing in operations and supply chain. If our factories and supply chain need to be optimized, we need to lower our costs. There's a set of tools that we can reach into in the cost pillar to help us take out costs. There's a set of tools that we can reach into in the delivery pillar to help us improve our delivery. You get the point. In the middle, we didn't talk about this yet, are a set of 10 foundational tools. So I think of these as function agnostic. Regardless of where you work in the business, these 10 tools have an application in your function, and not only have an application, should be applied in your function in order to improve the way that your function works, whether that's customer service, whether that's finance, whether that's HR, sales, marketing. Every one of these 10 tools apply. And then we already mentioned the 14 guiding principles as serving as the bedrock. This is really what drives our behaviors and ultimately our decision making so that we make the right decisions along different points in the lean journey. So enough about us. Let's get into today's topic and today's panelists. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce you to today's first panelist, Rob Grumsky. Rob, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Rob Grumsky. I've been with Lean Focus now for over 2 years. And much like many of you on the phone, I'm a procurement professional, have spent many years in lean environments, driving lean through procurement and supply chains, and really making some dramatic improvements. And so for today, we're going to go through a couple of things about our practice, as well as specifically around energy savings. Next. So for today's agenda, we're going to talk a little bit about our lean focused supply chain practice. Then we'll get into Comtech consulting overview, as well as some client case studies, and basically how to reduce your utility bills, as well as what we can do to help you along that journey. Next. So much like Damon talked about, supply chain practice really has 3 fundamental elements. And as you see that, we need to make sure we have the right people in place. And certainly we can help you do that through many of our experts, as well as myself. And you need to make sure you have the right processes to drive those people to do the right things for the organization. And then last but not least is the right technology. There's a lot of technology out there helping procurement organizations and supply chain organizations that just don't add a lot of value. We've been able to basically navigate through that, and we can help you find the right technology that will help drive that true value that ultimately will improve your quality from suppliers, reduce your delivery time and cost and inventory, while reducing your supplier risk. Next. So when we think about our supply chain transformation model, there are really 8 elements of that. And as we talked a little bit on the previous slide, certainly people is one of the most important part of that, and understanding what is strategic and transactional and how that's functionalized within your organization, having the proper training and professional development. We can certainly help with all those elements. When we take a look at our transformation model and all 8 of the topics here, and I'm not going to go through every one of them, but we do have basically a review of this, and we can come in and take a look at where you're lacking and where you're good at, and really customize an option that will help you improve areas that are lacking, and then capitalize on areas that really are improvement for your businesses. Some of those areas that really I think are most important is when we look at things around policies and governance, and how your organization operates, how your supply chain operates within your organization is really critical. Making sure that there is a guideline and rules that are documented and really accepted by the whole organization. Next is talking about commodity strategies and making sure I'm sorry, David, not talking about the commodity strategies and making sure that you know what you spend your money on, and then how the strategies and how to deal with that. Last one I'm going to talk a little bit about is supplier risk management. This is obviously in the last several years been a very critical topic, and I've done a couple of webinars on it as well. That's within the library. But it's so important to really not only understand the risk of your supply base, but also having those mitigation strategies that will help you drive reducing your risk and having disaster recovery plans in place. And we have many tools that can help with that, and we've helped several companies do that. And as we see that, the results that our clients have in deploying many of this transformation model tools, you can see on the right, it's pretty significant. And the ROI for a program like this is 10 to almost 40x, depending on how deep we get into it. So with that, I think we'll turn it over to our what we're going to talk about specifically today, and go to the next slide, Damon. Michael, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, thanks, Rob, and thanks everyone for joining. I'm Mike Dahlia, president of Comtech Consulting. I have been with Comtech for 15 years and have been in the industry, the energy and telecom industries, for over 25 years. Have lots of experience in both of those industries. And I'm primarily focused on product development and business development for Comtech. So today, I'd like to, what I'm going to do is show you how you can save substantially from your telecom and energy costs within 5 weeks. Next. So first, a little bit about Comtech Consulting. So as you can see here, we deal with and work with some of the largest companies in the country, but our products also work in mid-size and some small companies. We've saved our clients about $900 million. We will exceed $1 billion this year. We have excellent client satisfaction, and we do get a lot of our new clients from referrals. We've been in the business for over 20 years. We use proprietary software and our market intelligence in order to effectuate the savings. Next. So I'll go through 3 different offerings that we have. The first is cellular and telecom cost reduction, and I'll get into those a little deeper in the next slides. The second is electricity and natural gas cost reduction. We'll talk about those as well. And then lastly is VoIP and Unified Communication Services. So these are telephone systems that we can fit you into that will increase your revenues and also will create more efficiencies for you. For instance, we can integrate our software into Microsoft Teams and some of the other platforms so that you can keep your same platform that you're using. For instance, if you're using Teams, you can keep that platform, but you can also get a very robust telephone system integrated into that platform. So it is all contained in one system. There are many benefits to that. And as well as our clients, when they switch to that upgraded, more robust system, they save an average of 12%. Next. So first, let's talk about cellular optimization. Many of you, or I'm sure all of you, are using cellular services, and we have a way of reducing cost on those services. Our customers average a 32% permanent savings. Now, we effectuate that savings without changing any change to your existing carriers, your equipment, your level of service, or your term. And the way that we're able to do this is through unpublished rates. So when you initially sign up with your carrier, whether it be Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, they will assign you rate plans and discounts to your contract. So now, obviously, the rate plans and discounts that they assign you are the most profitable for them. But you have many other choices. Now, those choices are unpublished, so there's no database that you can go to look at those. Your rep won't help you and can't help you to look those up or find those. But if you know of them and you know how to implement them, you can do so under your existing agreement. So in our experience now doing this 20 years, we have established a proprietary database of lower cost rate plans and discounts that can be applied right to your invoice. Doing this only requires a few hours of your staff time. We do all of the work. We just need to have access to an invoice. And from there, we can do all of the work and have you onto the new services within 30 days. And there's no risk because we have a success-based fee. You do not pay anything until you've actually received the benefit of the savings onto your invoices. Next. Now we'll talk about landline audit and cost reduction. So landline, these are data circuits, your corporate network, internet circuits, POTS lines, terrestrial services, everything other than cellular services. So quite similar to cellular services, we can effectuate those discounts without changing your carrier. So we have wholesale agreements with most of the carriers in the country. So whereby we are able to put you onto that wholesale platform and get you the discounts. We will also look to see if you've been being billed properly. So we'll check for billing errors, contract compliance, tax and tariff errors, and we will get you a refund check for those if there have been those types of billing errors on your bills. And then lastly, what we will do is combine all of your carrier services into one consolidated invoice so that you will now not have to deal with many different carrier suppliers, many different bills that come in. You'll have everything in one consolidated invoice, and then we will also provide management to you for those services. So right now you may have multiple carriers. You may be having to call for when you have service issues. It's a problem for you to manage that. We take all of that and put it under one number for you to call so that you're able to call us. We answer our phone very quickly within about 4 seconds. They're all American speaking, English speaking here based in America, our reps, and you'll get very quick service. We know who you are. We know what your services are when you call in, and we do have technicians that will help and work with the carriers to fix issues as they occur. So a lot of value that we bring there other than just the hard savings. Next. I always like to mention TEMS because many of you may have a TEM, a telephone expense management company. And so you may think, well, we've got all this covered through our TEM. And that is simply not the case. So TEM provides a very valuable product for you. Their services, you're using them now and you should continue to use those. We do not displace those. But TEM does not do what we do. They do not have the software built into their platforms to utilize lower cost rates and discounts. So TEMs are mostly used for bill pay, finding anomalies in your invoices. So they may say, well, your invoice increased by 20% this month. You should look into that. So just much different than what we do. So many of our clients do have TEMs, and we coexist with those TEMs and work in unison with them. Next. Now let's talk about electricity and natural gas. This is a very large line item for many clients, and our clients average 15 to 35 in that range. The average is 30%, but it can range 20%, but it can range up to 50%. And we do something quite different in our methodology. We have software that I will show you next, but we have a system whereby we will load all of your data into our system one time. And then we're able to then disseminate out to over 60 suppliers, RFP to those suppliers, and get back the results within about 48 hours. So what that does is moving all of that data to all of those different suppliers is very difficult if you don't have a system like ours. So we will do that. And then we also, all of these suppliers fully understand that they are competing for your business. So we've got that. So just by virtue of that, we will get many lower cost offers than you're currently paying. Then we also leverage our volumes from our portfolio that we manage, which is quite large. So even some of the largest companies in the country don't have the volumes that we do. So we're even able to help them. So we certainly can help anyone on the planet with their rates. Then we also, our software will also look into, it's connected into all of the different energy markets. So we can look at approximately where the bidders' margins are, and then go back and intelligently negotiate with the lowest cost bidders to then get another bite at the apple for additional savings. So that is how we reduce the cost that you pay for your services. And then we also have, in addition to that, we also have a full suite of renewables, CHP, cogeneration, solar, lighting, that we can also work with you to reduce your consumption. And one very important thing that I'll point out is that even though you may have contracts now with energy suppliers, that does not impede our ability to attain savings for you. Let's say you have a contract that goes out 6 months to a year. We are able to renegotiate those contracts and many times immediately reduce the cost that you pay now, and then ride out that existing contract until its end, and then further reduce your costs. Next. And this is our technology that we use. So not only does it give us the ability to buy at the lowest rates, but you will also, as a client, have this access to this software. Our clients really love this software because it provides them with the ability to see every building, every meter, every corporate division, and they're able to then allocate costs out to those different departments. Also be able to look at performance, contract performance, and also for budgetary purposes, looking out into the future, as well as hindsight in how your contract has performed. So very, very important and powerful software that you have access to. Okay, next. So why Comtech? Transparency. We go out to RFP for you, included with the energy suppliers. We also will do that with the telecom suppliers. So the total transparency, you get to see all of the data coming back, all of the different bids that come back, and then we will, of course, consult with you on which options are best for you. We've got our large scale buying power, so you're able to then tag on to us and get the benefit of our buying power, and then our market intelligence. So that, I believe, wraps it up. I think we have one more slide, so let's go to next. Yes, let's talk about one of the most important parts, which is our fees. So we work on a success-based fee. For cellular and telecom, the fee is 25% of the savings that we generate for 24 months. And you do not pay we bill you, invoice you monthly, but you do not pay for the services until after you receive the savings on your invoice. So our fee is funded entirely by the savings that we generate for you. And during that term, we provide a lot of very valuable services. We're making monthly recommendations to increase your savings. And there's also cost avoidance. So for instance, with cellular, you have people traveling, you have people using tremendous amounts of data, sometimes going over tens of thousands of dollars in monthly overages. We eliminate all of that because we are monitoring it on a weekly basis and making sure that you are not billed anything in addition to your flat monthly fee. We also generate customized reports for you So those become very valuable as well. And then for energy, there is no fee that we charge to you. We are compensated directly by the winning suppliers. So it is a very, very clean operation. There is no AR, there's no AP, and you just enjoy the savings, and that is it. There's no real contract that you have with us other than a letter of authority that allows us to collect data on your behalf in order to present you with the savings proposal. Next. So we offer you two options. One option is, which most of our clients will take right away, is sign our simple agreement, one-page agreement, and then we will get started immediately, and you'll start to receive your savings in about 30 days. The second option, if you want to slow down a little bit and get a look at what we can do for you, we're happy to do that. We'll sign your NDA. You can send a copy of your invoices, and it's both wireless and energy. We will then return to you within about 10 business days a savings estimate. If you like what you see, then you can sign our agreement and get started. We do that because we're very confident that once you see the work that we were able to do and the results that we're able to prove to you, that you will enter into the agreement and get started. Okay, next.
You're on mute, Rob.
Got it. Thank you, Michael. That was quite enlightening. And so when we look at this, Lean Focus, how can we help you? Contact us. We can get you set up with the right people within Comtech and get going right away and get your savings happening within 5 weeks. And I know Michael says 30 days. We like to give it another week just in case, but we can get there in 30 days. So we do have a one-pager here that kind of explains how the whole process works, but it's really easy. We've had a number of clients just basically turn it over to us and they start to see savings immediately. So for now, let's turn it over to the questions and see where we go from here.
One more quick reminder before we get into the questions. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we have all of our webinars like this one are archived on our website. So you can go to this link here, leanfocus.com website, navigate over to the Thought Leadership tab, and you can scroll through all of the past webinars that have conducted. And in addition to that, you can look at other things too, like articles that we've written. And then we have another series called Lean Catalyst, which is interviews with Lean CEOs who've demonstrated tremendous results leading Lean journeys within their organizations. That's a separate interview series also done on this same webinar platform. So it's sort of in the spirit of saving money. Who else other than Ben Franklin, who happens to be on the $100 bill? Beware of the little expenses. A small leak will sink a great ship. And I think that's germane to this conversation because I think these things are oftentimes forgotten about in many organizations. And I know when I was leading a business, I never thought to even investigate or interrogate this aspect of the P&L. And neither did my procurement person. And I sort of regret not having taken those actions and how much money we could have saved. So we have a lot of questions teed up. So it's my job to moderate those. So let me get through here. So question one, what energy sourcing strategy would you recommend? Fixed agreements or spot buying?
Great question. It really depends on the type of operation that you have. Spot buying, you can, in many times, that's an advantage. But however, many CFOs, many companies like to have reliability in their expenses, especially in their energy expense. You can have major fluctuations up and down when you're doing spot buying. So it's really depends on your risk tolerance, and then and what type of operation you're running. So that is where we come in. We will consult with you. We will look at your operations. We will look at the types of systems that you're running, and we can talk through this and come up with a good option for you. And sometimes it may be a hybrid option to hedge, do some spot buying, and also then have some fixed as well.
All right, thank you. Next question. Can you please explain the deregulated states detailed for electricity and gas?
Certainly. So the states that were listed for electricity, those are the states where we can procure electricity for you, where there is competition. So that is for electricity, and those are the only states we can provide that service for you.
How many states roughly is that, Michael?
There are about 15 states there.
Okay, where this is in play, where you can do that negotiation?
Correct.
Got it.
For electricity. So natural gas, we can perform our service in all states except the 5 that are listed there. So you may not be able to do it with electricity, but you, in most cases, will be able to work with us with natural gas.
Gotcha. Okay, next question. What is your competitive advantage against Schneider Electric? You able to answer that one?
So Schneider Electric, I would say that our software is a big component there, but it's also our human capital and our consultants. So we've got just the best talent that is out there that we've seen. So we have had companies come from Schneider. They've been very, very satisfied with us. They've seen deeper cost reductions with us, and just better handling and customer service. So that's what I could say about, quite honestly, about Schneider.
All right, next question. On one of your earliest slides, it sounds like there may be a back office productivity impact as well, based on the centralization of contact points around the billing and invoicing of some of these things. Like in some organizations that may be managed by multiple people, and you're able to either consolidate that all to one area or potentially eliminate the need for that in some organizations. Can you comment at least anecdotally on whether that's true?
Absolutely. So that is a great question. And so yes, because we do consolidate everything, it's a big game changer in most corporations, because what happens is they've got people. All of this takes time and effort, and they've got people dedicated, resources dedicated to this, so that now when we take that over, that one central point, we can deal with one central point at your business. And so there is savings there, and it's not necessarily that people will lose their jobs, but that they will be utilized in other more meaningful ways. So that is what we see routinely.
Based on the 20 plus years of doing this, Michael, is there a ideal client profile, whether it be size, the type of things that this company does, the geographic distribution, number of employees, sort of like in your mind, what's sort of the fairway of the ideal client that benefits most from all the services that you've talked about today?
So the ideal client would have $75,000 of spend or more combined between energy, and that is monthly, between energy and telecom. And if you look at employee size, we see employee size from 500 on up is a good, but 500 is a good starting point. 500 employees.
So I didn't hear you say they need to manufacture something. It could be a service organization, as an example, or a software company.
Yes, that's correct. And they don't necessarily have to have a huge so we have some clients that have a small energy spend, but a huge telecom spend. with a lot of cell phones, sales organizations, and so forth. So it really just depends. But if you've got a $75,000 a month spend, we can help you.
This is a private equity question. So would you be able to work with the private equity leadership to centralize this sort of work across their operating company portfolio? Let's say they have several businesses that they own. How would you suggest running or engaging in a project like that?
Yes, private equity firms are a perfect candidate for us. We have worked with them in the past. And so, depending on what stage, so firstly, we would look at their entire portfolio. We can improve the value of their portfolio and their EBITDA through our services in a meaningful way, believe it or not. And many times what they will do is when they are going to sale, they will come to us and we will do that. Timing is sometimes important, but we will work with them at that point to reduce their costs, and becomes very meaningful. A dollar of savings can be worth up to $60 in value. So they're yes, they're the perfect candidate for us.
Next question, is this service or any of the services that you offer available outside of the United States, or is this just for the United States?
So energy, we have the ability to do it in the United States and in Mexico. And then telecom, we can do globally. So if you're a global organization, we can look at your entire corporate network globally and work with that.
Okay. So when you say energy, you mean electricity and gas, United States and Mexico?
Yes, correct.
Got it. This next question, are existing energy contracts currently go out beyond a year? Is that too far out in time for you to help us now?
So many times we would like to look at that, your agreements, because many times a year is not too far out. What we will do is we do what's called a blend and extend. So we can look at where the rates were when you contracted and what rate you're locked into, and then we can look at where rates are now, and we can renegotiate that agreement so that you can immediately start to save money. And then as you time out that contract, we will be looking at other opportunities. And time is our friend in that case, because we will be looking for dips in the market and then applying our process with leverage of volumes and et cetera. So that's actually an excellent time for us to talk, because we can save you money immediately, and in the future save you substantially.
Kind of a similar question, but with wireless services. So my CIO, sorry, negotiated a custom contract with Verizon Wireless, and they're under for 2 more years. Will your services interfere with that contract?
Okay, great question. So no, our services will not interfere with that contract. We would like to see that contract, because you never know, there could be an anomaly in that contract, but 99% of the time, we will not interfere with anything that's in that contract. Our services will not.
All right. So this is kind of like the private equity question, but I think it's for either publicly traded companies or companies that have a large portfolio of other companies, kind of like a Danaher or a Honeywell as an example. So we have multiple companies under our holding company. Are you able to combine the volume of all of our energy, but keep the contracts separate for liability purposes?
Yes, absolutely. So many companies don't realize this. We recently worked with a health system that had 7 different hospitals. They were all acting autonomously in their purchasing. And so we were able to aggregate all of their volumes, leverage all of their volumes in addition to ours, but do separate contracts so those liabilities remained with the individual entities. So yes, that's a great question, and we do that all the time.
Yeah, and to me that that's like another value prop. It's like you're creating a center of excellence that doesn't exist in a corporation where they would miss those centralization opportunities, not only on this topic, but on other topics as well. But you're sort of providing that free of charge.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah. Who bills us for energy services under your proposal? Is it the supplier or the utility company?
Yes, so it is the supplier. However, if the supplier is billing you through the utility company now, we can keep it that way, or we can switch it to directly from the supplier. So it's just completely up to you. We will arrange that for you.
Okay. This is our last question. If anybody has any other questions, please type them in the Q&A panel. Our corporate structure requires cost center allocation for our departments, but Verizon Wireless and AT&T Mobility cannot invoice that way. This is manual, time-consuming process for us each month. Are you able to help us out here?
Yes, we are. That's a great question, and it's actually quite common. So we are able to. They can't bill that way, but we are able to provide customized reports whereby we can put those cost centers, allocate those cost centers, even if they have different carriers in those cost centers. We can allocate the costs for those cost centers to you in a report each month. So if you've got AT&T and Verizon now, and you've got some people in a cost center that has both of those carriers, we can show you the cost there and do that for you.
That's great.
That's a great
Thank you.
question.
All right. I think that's it. Anything that you'd like to say? Any final comments, Mike or Rob?
Just thank you for your participation today, and we look forward to ways that we can help you with your energy and telecom bills.
Yes, and thank everyone. Thank you everyone for your participation. Feel free to reach out, and don't forget that we can give you an estimate. You don't have to go right into a contract with us. We can give you that estimate and show you what we can do for you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Learned a lot. Appreciate it. Everybody that joined us today, please have a great rest of your week, and thank you for participating. Bye now.
Thank you.
Thank you.